Third Rock from the Sun once made us laugh at aliens trying to act human, but in real life, their stories turned out far stranger than the show itself. Some became legends, some disappeared completely, and others faced struggles that never made it to the screen. Stay with us, because this is the side of the cast you've never seen before. Elmarie Wendell as Mrs. Dubček. Elmarie Wendell was born on November 23, 1928, in Howard County, Iowa. At 67 years old, she played Mrs. Dubček, the flirtatious and eccentric landlady whose bold personality constantly disrupted the Solomon family's strange existence. Her presence added a unique comedic chaos that made the show feel more unpredictable and alive. Her life was built on decades of dedication to performance. Before television fame, she spent years touring with her family as musicians, and later established herself on stage in productions like Little Mary Sunshine. Over time, she expanded into television and film, appearing in shows such as Seinfeld and Murder, She Wrote, gradually becoming a familiar face. In the later years of her career, she continued working steadily in television, including appearances in series like George Lopez and General Hospital, showing a lasting commitment to acting well into her later life. Even as she aged, she remained active and deeply connected to her craft, earning respect from colleagues for her professionalism and enduring passion. Elmarie Wendell passed away on July 21, 2018, at the age of 89 due to natural causes at her home in California. Her death was quietly announced by her daughter, leaving behind a legacy of laughter and a career that spanned decades. With an estimated net worth of around $2 million at the time of her passing, she remained one of its most unforgettable souls. John Lithgow as Dr. Dick Solomon. John Lithgow was born on October 19, 1945, in Rochester, New York. At 51 years old, he played Dr. Dick Solomon, the eccentric father and leader of an alien family navigating human life in Third Rock from the Sun. This role became the heart of the show's humor and emotional balance, helping it stand out among sitcoms of its time. Behind that brilliance, his personal life carried a quiet fracture that deeply affected him. His marriage to Jean Tainton, whom he wed in 1966, ended painfully after his affair with actress Liv Ullmann was revealed, leading to their divorce in 1980. The scandal not only shook his family life, but left him with long-lasting regret, pushing him to immerse himself more intensely in his work, where he later delivered powerful performances in projects like The World According to Garp and Terms of Endearment. Rather than physical illness, Lithgow's struggles were more emotional, shaped by guilt and the pressure to rebuild both his reputation and personal identity. He channeled that inner conflict into complex roles, most notably his chilling portrayal of the Trinity Killer in Dexter and the layered performance of Winston Churchill in The Crown, proving that personal turmoil could be transformed into artistic depth. As of 2026, John Lithgow is 81 years old and remains active in the industry, continuing to take on major roles, including his involvement in HBO's Harry Potter series. With an estimated net worth of around $50 million, he stands as a respected figure in Hollywood, yet his story still carries the weight of a past mistake that quietly shaped the man behind the legend. Kristen Johnston as Sally Solomon. Kristen Johnston was born on September 20, 1967, in Washington, D.C. At 29 years old, she played Sally Solomon, the impulsive and fiercely expressive female member of the alien family in Third Rock from the Sun. Her performance brought a chaotic energy that elevated the show's comedic identity and earned her 2 Emmy Awards. While her career soared, her personal life followed a very different path. Kristen never married and had no children, and her relationships remained unstable as she struggled privately with addiction that began as early as high school. The pressures of fame only intensified her dependence on alcohol and pills, creating a cycle that slowly distanced her from both stability and long-term personal connections. even as she continued appearing in projects like Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me, and later The X's. Her health eventually paid the price for years of substance abuse. At her lowest point, she was drinking up to 2 bottles of wine a night, which led to a near-fatal stomach perforation in 2006 that required emergency surgery. Not long after, she was diagnosed with lupus myelitis, a rare autoimmune condition that temporarily left her unable to walk, forcing her to confront both physical vulnerability and the reality of her past choices. In 2026, Kristen Johnston is 59 years old and has remained sober for many years, dedicating much of her time to advocacy and helping others through recovery programs while still acting in selected roles. With an estimated net worth of around $8 million, she has rebuilt her life not around fame, but around survival and purpose, turning a story of self-destruction into one of resilience. Elleen Getz as Judith Draper. Elleen Getz was born on August 7, 1961, in the United States. At 35 years old, she played Judith Draper, the rigid and emotionally distant professor who often clashed with Dick Solomon in Third Rock from the Sun. Her understated and controlled performance added a sharp contrast to the show's exaggerated humor, making her character quietly memorable. Her career was built through dedication to theater before transitioning into television, where she appeared in series like Law and Order and Seinfeld, as well as films such as The Station Agent and Changing Lanes. Though often cast in smaller roles, she brought depth and precision to every performance, steadily carving out a respected place in the industry. Behind her professional life, however, she faced a devastating personal battle. Elleen Getz was diagnosed with ovarian cancer, a disease that progressed quietly but aggressively. Despite her determination to continue working, the illness took a heavy toll on her health, cutting short both her career and the potential she had yet to fully realize, leaving colleagues shocked by how quickly her condition worsened. Elleen Getz passed away on August 4, 2005, just days before her 44th birthday, at the age of 43, due to ovarian cancer. Her death deeply affected those who worked with her, as she was known for her strength and dedication, even in the face of illness. Jan Hooks as Vicki Dubček. Jan Hooks was born on April 23, 1957, in Decatur, Georgia. At 39 years old, she played Vicki Dubček, the loving girlfriend and later wife of Harry Solomon in Third Rock from the Sun. Her role brought emotional warmth and a sense of real human attachment into the bizarre alien storyline, making the series feel more grounded and heartfelt. Behind that gentle on-screen presence was a deeply conflicted artist. Jan never married and kept her personal life extremely private, but those close to her knew she struggled with severe anxiety and self-doubt. Even at the height of her fame on Saturday Night Live and later in shows like Designing Women, she often turned down major opportunities, not because she lacked talent, but because fear quietly held her back. Her health struggles came later, and they were devastating. After years of living under stress and reportedly struggling with alcohol, she was diagnosed with leukemia in 2009, though it briefly went into remission. Then in 2014, she was diagnosed with throat cancer, an aggressive illness that did not respond to treatment. Doctors suggested a drastic surgery that would remove her ability to speak, but she refused, choosing instead to spend her final days in hospice care. Jan Hooks passed away on October 9, 2014, at the age of 57 due to complications from throat cancer. Her quiet passing contrasted sharply with the brilliance she once brought to the screen, and she was laid to rest in Georgia, far from the spotlight she both loved and feared. French Stewart as Harry Solomon. French Stewart was born on February 20, 1964, in Albuquerque, New Mexico. At 32 years old, he played Harry Solomon, the odd, unpredictable receiver of alien signals whose bizarre behavior often drove the show's strangest moments. His unique physical comedy and signature squint became one of the sitcom's most recognizable trademarks. Behind that success, his personal life moved more quietly, but still carried its own turning points. He married actress Catherine Lanasa in 1998 after meeting her on the show, but the relationship eventually ended in divorce, marking a period of emotional transition just as his career began to slow. While he continued working in films like Inspector Gadget 2 and sitcoms such as Mom, the end of his first marriage coincided with the challenge of maintaining relevance in an industry that had already defined him too narrowly. Although he did not face major publicized health crises, Stewart struggled with a different kind of pressure: being typecast. After Third Rock from the Sun, audiences found it difficult to separate him from Harry's eccentric persona, limiting his opportunities for more serious roles. This forced him to adapt, often taking smaller or comedic parts, while quietly rebuilding his identity as an actor beyond the character that made him famous. As of 2026, French Stewart is 62 years old and continues to act while living a relatively private life with his second wife, Vanessa Claire Stewart, whom he married in 2011, and their daughter. With an estimated net worth of around $6 million, he remains a familiar face in television, even if much of his career has been shaped by the lasting shadow of one unforgettable role. Jane Curtin as Dr. Mary Albright. Jane Curtin was born on September 6, 1947, in Cambridge, Massachusetts. At 48 years old, she played Dr. Mary Albright, the intelligent and grounded human girlfriend who brought stability to Dick Solomon's chaotic world. Her calm, deadpan performance became the emotional anchor of the series, perfectly balancing its absurd humor. Unlike many in Hollywood, her personal life was defined by rare stability. She married television producer Patrick Lynch in 1975, and their decades-long relationship became a quiet foundation that allowed her to maintain a steady career from Saturday Night Live to Kate and Allie and later Third Rock from the Sun. While others were pulled into scandals or instability, Curtin's disciplined approach and strong moral center helped her avoid controversy, allowing her to focus entirely on her craft and build a lasting reputation as one of television's most reliable performers. In recent years, she has continued to appear in select television projects, maintaining a steady presence without chasing the spotlight. Her later roles, including appearances in series like United We Fall and The Librarians, reflect a career built not on sudden peaks, but on long-term consistency, where each performance quietly reinforces her reputation for precision and control. As of 2026, Jane Curtin is 79 years old and continues to be respected as a veteran of American television, occasionally appearing in projects while living a private life. With an estimated net worth of around $16 million, she represents a rare case in Hollywood, where a life without scandal or collapse still leaves behind a legacy just as powerful. Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Tommy Solomon. Joseph Gordon-Levitt was born on February 17, 1981, in Los Angeles, California. At 15 years old, he played Tommy Solomon, the teenage son with the mind of an adult alien, caught between adolescence and intelligence. His performance added a sharp, ironic edge to the show and helped ground its humor in something more relatable. Growing up in the spotlight came at a cost that few could see. As his fame increased, Gordon-Levitt struggled with the loss of privacy and the pressure of being constantly watched, which led him to step away from Hollywood after the show ended. He enrolled at Columbia University, searching for a normal life, but the pull of acting remained strong, eventually bringing him back, this time determined to redefine himself through more mature roles in films like 500 Days of Summer and Inception. The most painful moment in his personal life came with the death of his older brother, Daniel Gordon-Levitt, in 2010. Official reports cited an overdose, though Joseph publicly challenged that conclusion, showing how deeply the loss affected him. This tragedy reinforced his need to protect his private world, especially as he later built a family of his own, choosing to shield his children entirely from public attention. As of 2026, Joseph Gordon-Levitt is 45 years old and continues working as an actor, director, and founder of the creative platform Hit Record, balancing mainstream projects with independent work. Married to tech CEO Tasha Macaulay, he maintains a deliberately low-profile family life. With an estimated net worth of around $35 million, he stands as one of the few former child stars who successfully rebuilt their identity. Simbi Khali, as Nina Campbell. Simbi Khali was born on April 28, 1971, in Jackson, Mississippi. At 25 years old, she played Nina Campbell, the confident and perceptive secretary who often served as a grounded counterpoint to the Solomon family's bizarre behavior in Third Rock from the Sun. Her presence added a layer of realism that helped connect the show's absurd world to everyday life. Behind the scenes, her personal life entered a difficult chapter just as her career began to lose momentum. She married actor Cress Williams in 2000 after a fast-moving romance, but their marriage ended in divorce in 2011 after more than a decade together. This separation coincided with a noticeable slowdown in her career, as she struggled to secure major roles in an industry that offered limited opportunities for women of color at the time, leaving her navigating both emotional and professional uncertainty. After this period, she gradually shifted towards smaller but meaningful roles, including voice acting projects like Detroit, Become Human, and stage performances that allowed her to stay connected to her craft. Rather than disappearing completely, she adapted quietly, choosing consistency over visibility in an industry that had once limited her opportunities. As of 2026, Simbi Khali is 55 years old and remains active in the entertainment industry in a more selective capacity. With an estimated net worth of around $1.5 million, her journey reflects not a dramatic fall, but a gradual shift, where talent met the harsh realities of Hollywood and resilience became her most defining role. Ian Lithgow as Leon. Ian Lithgow was born on February 3, 1972 in New York City. At 24 years old, he played Leon, the awkward and often underestimated student in Dr. Dick Solomon's class in Third Rock from the Sun. Though a supporting role, his character added subtle humor and helped highlight the absurdity of Dick's teaching world. His personal life followed a path very different from the Hollywood spotlight of his father, John Lithgow. Ian married Rachel Jagoda in 2001, and they built a family together with 2 children, but their marriage eventually ended in divorce in 2018. This transition marked a turning point in his life, as he gradually stepped away from acting and began focusing more seriously on a different calling, one rooted in understanding people rather than performing for them. Instead of continuing to pursue acting roles in projects like regional theater productions and occasional television appearances, Ian made a decisive shift toward psychology. He completed a master's degree in clinical psychology and specialized in marriage and family therapy, channeling his experiences and personal insights into helping others navigate emotional and relational struggles. As of 2026, Ian Lithgow is 54 years old and works as a licensed marriage and family therapist, running his own practice in New York City. With an estimated net worth of around $1 million, his life stands as a quiet contrast to Hollywood fame. Wayne Knight as Officer Don Orville. Wayne Knight was born on August 7, 1955, in New York City. At 41 years old, he played Officer Don Orville, the kind-hearted but slightly awkward police officer who became Sally's love interest in Third Rock from the Sun. His performance brought a grounded charm that balanced the show's absurdity and added emotional depth to Sally's storyline. His personal life included its own challenges, particularly in relationships and self-image. Knight married makeup artist Paula Sutor in 1996, but their marriage ended in divorce in 2003. He later remarried Claire Deschanel in 2006, finding more stability, but his earlier years were marked by insecurity tied to both his career and physical appearance, even as he gained recognition from roles in Seinfeld and Jurassic Park. The most serious struggle he faced was his health. At one point, his weight exceeded 150 kilograms, putting him at significant risk for heart disease and other life-threatening conditions. Realizing the danger, He committed to a strict lifestyle change and significant weight loss, a transformation that required discipline and persistence. Adding to his stress, he was also the target of a false death hoax in 2014, a disturbing experience that left him frustrated and shaken. As of 2026, Wayne Knight is 71 years old and continues to work in television, film, and voice acting, maintaining a steady presence in the industry. With an estimated net worth of around $8 million, he has managed to overcome both physical and personal challenges, proving that longevity in Hollywood is not just about talent, but survival. Danielle Nicolet as Corinne Danielle Nicolet was born on November 24, 1973, in Ashtabula, Ohio. At 23 years old, she played Corinne, a confident and sharp-witted girlfriend who was romantically involved with one of the male characters, adding a modern, grounded presence to the strange world of Third Rock from the Sun. After the series ended, Danielle faced the challenge of maintaining visibility in an industry where supporting actors often fade quickly. However, she steadily built her career through a mix of television and film, appearing in projects like Second Time Around and The Starter Wife, proving her versatility across both comedy and drama. Her persistence paid off as she continued to land roles, even when many of her co-stars struggled to stay relevant. Her career reached a new peak years later when she joined The Flash as Cecile Horton, a role that gradually evolved from a guest appearance into a main cast position. This long-running success reintroduced her to a new generation of audiences and solidified her reputation as one of the few actors from the show who managed to sustain long-term recognition in Hollywood. As of 2026, Danielle Nicolet is 53 years old and continues to work actively in television and film. With an estimated net worth of around $5 million, she stands as a rare example of consistency, quietly building a lasting career through persistence rather than sudden fame. William Shatner as the Big Giant Head. William Shatner was born on March 22, 1931, in Montreal, Canada. At 68 years old, he played the Big Giant Head, the supreme leader and boss of Dick Solomon, essentially a commanding superior figure in Third Rock from the Sun. His eccentric and unpredictable authority added a chaotic, unforgettable layer to the show's comedic energy. Unlike many of his peers, Shatner's personal life has been marked by intense emotional highs and painful losses. He has been married 4 times, notably to Noreen Kidd, whose tragic death in 1999 left a lasting scar on his life. He found her lifeless in their swimming pool, a victim of accidental drowning linked to alcohol and medication. That moment shattered him, and in interviews he spoke openly about grief, regret, and the haunting feeling that he could not save the person he loved. In later years, Shatner also faced health challenges, including chronic tinnitus, a condition causing persistent ringing in the ears, believed to have started after an on-set explosion during Star Trek. The condition never fully went away, forcing him to undergo therapy just to manage daily life. It became a silent burden he carried while still maintaining a public image of energy and charisma. In 2026, William Shatner is 95 years old and remains active, continuing to write, appear on television, and attend public events. With an estimated net worth of around $100 million, he stands as a living legend. Yet behind the fame is a man shaped by loss, survival, and an unrelenting drive to keep going. Larisa Oleynik as Alyssa Strudwick. Larisa Oleynik was born on June 7, 1981, in Santa Clara, California. At 17 years old, she played Alyssa Strudwick, the intelligent girlfriend of Tommy Solomon in Third Rock from the Sun. Her role added a grounded emotional connection to Tommy's storyline, helping balance the absurd alien humor with genuine teenage romance. At the peak of her fame, Larisa was already a teen idol thanks to The Secret World of Alex Mack and later 10 Things I Hate About You, but instead of chasing Hollywood glory, she made an unexpected decision. She stepped away. She quietly chose education and a more stable life, enrolling in college and later focusing on theater and selective roles. This choice, while protecting her from the darker side of fame, also meant giving up the explosive career trajectory she once had, leaving many wondering what she could have become if she had stayed in the spotlight. The pressure of early fame, constant public attention, and the transition into adulthood forced her to redefine her identity outside of being the famous girl on TV. She deliberately avoided the toxic cycles of Hollywood, choosing smaller projects, stage performances, and voice work, slowly rebuilding a career on her own terms rather than public expectations. As of 2026, Larisa Oleynik is 45 years old and continues to work steadily in theater, television, and independent productions. Living a relatively private life in California, she represents a rare path in Hollywood. With an estimated net worth of around $4 million, her story is not about dramatic or scandal, but about quietly walking away from fame to protect something far more fragile: herself. David DeLuise as Bug Poloni. David DeLuise was born on November 11, 1971, in Los Angeles, California. At 25 years old, he played Bug Poloni, the arrogant boyfriend of Mary Albright in Third Rock from the Sun. His role added tension and humor to the story, especially through his rivalry with Dick Solomon, making him a memorable obstacle in the show's romantic dynamics. Unlike many actors chasing fame alone, David grew up in a well-known Hollywood family as the son of Dom DeLuise and Carol Arthur, but that legacy did not guarantee him an easy path. He had to build his career step by step, taking on small roles in shows like Jessie and Stargate SG-1 before finally gaining wider recognition. His biggest breakthrough came years later when he played Jerry Russo, a father and former wizard in Wizards of Waverly Place, a role that brought him stability, fame, and a deeper connection with audiences, especially younger viewers. Behind his steady career was a quiet personal struggle. David is dyslexic, a condition that made learning scripts and navigating the acting world more challenging than it appeared. Early in his life, before success arrived, he even worked in carpentry while raising his first child, balancing responsibility and ambition. However, his personal life later gradually found stability. He is now married to German actress Julia Stoppel, and their relationship is often described as calm and supportive. As of 2026, David DeLuise is 55 years old and continues to stay active in the entertainment industry, working as both an actor and director while also hosting the Wizards of Waverly podcast. With an estimated net worth of around $4 million, his life may not be filled with shocking tragedy, but it tells one of persistence, quiet resilience, and a man who built a lasting career and stable family life away from the chaos of fame. From quirky aliens trying to understand humanity to unforgettable sitcom moments, the cast of Third Rock from the Sun has taken very different paths over the years, some rising to new fame, others choosing quieter lives, and some leaving behind emotional legacies. So looking back at their journeys, who surprised you the most, then and now? Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more then and now stories of your favorite classic shows.